So, I got my pistons here. We're going to verify all the ring gaps. So, got my 20 over pistons with a C-clips. Obviously, we don't need a C-clips right at the moment. So, yeah, that's what they measure. I had to bring these to the guy who bored the engine. He wanted to measure the pistons and make sure they were all the same before he bored these cylinders. He said they were all pretty close, or really close, or close enough that it didn't matter where I put them. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take our rings. So I got a set of rings here. And then we're going to slip them into the cylinder, probably down like an inch or so. And then I'm going to use the piston. We're going to put the piston on top to kind of center it so that they're not crooked or anything, and they're centered. And then we're going to take a feeler gauge and we're going to see what the end gap is on the ends of the rings. So I'm going to get these opened up and get ready to do that. So we got a little bit of reading here. Says most compression rings are directional, meaning they have a top and a bottom. Most top rings and second rings are different and cannot be interchanged. Most compression rings have a pip mark, a dot, or the name top on one side designated that side faces up. New cylinder bores must be conditioned properly using properly used bores deglazed. Must be conditioned properly used bores deglazed. In all cases, the final cleaning should be scrubbed with hot soapy water and a brush. Rinse with the clean water, dry, and wipe with oil in a lint-free rag until the rag is clean after final wiping. Check end gap, 0.004 per 1 inch of bore is the minimum. 3-piece oil ring installation. Compression rings should not be spiraled into the groove, but carefully installed with a ring installation tool. So you got to spread them and then put it on. Don't kind of like put one corner and then walk it around. 3-piece oil rings are not directional and can be installed either direction. The ends of the expander must butt together in a solid part of the ring groove and not overlap. Oil rail gaps should be about 1 inch either side of expander gap, and the rails can be spiraled on. If the completed assembly rotates freely in the ring groove, it is correct. If not, start over. So these rings have a top and a bottom listing on them. Basically, it's just kind of like that. It says top. I don't know if you can see. So it says top and there's a dot. I think the top ring has very faint writing. It says top, and then the bottom or the middle one says top, and it's got 2 dots also. So this is the old control ring. See, you got this section in here, spiraled section. So there's right here, there's a piece of wire. So you're gonna put these together. Like first, you're gonna put this on, and then you're gonna put the other ring over the top. So it's gonna have a little piece of wire in it where it expands, wherever it is. It's in here somewhere. Here it is. So that expands so you can put it on. Then you can put it on, and then you want to make sure that that little gap is at least 1 inch away. You don't want that gap right there. So okay. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put this ring in. This doesn't matter. There's no top or bottom, so it'll go either way. We'll just slide it in there, push it down a little bit. We'll get a piston and we'll kind of center it. I'll push it down a little bit. So now we know it's centered. All three rings are going to have different clearances. So let's see. Okay, piston ring end gap. So right here is piston ring end gap. I will put a picture up. So anyway, so the top ring needs to be 26, or I don't know, I'll do it in thousandths. I'm not really a millimeter guy. So the top ring is 10 thousandths to 14 thousandths gap. The intermediate ring is 33 thousandths to 45. Oh, no, it's not 33 thousandths. That might be a misspelling. It says 0.33. That's pretty big. That's like a quarter of an inch. Anyway, I think that's supposed to be 33 thousandths to 45 thousandths. And the oil control is supposed to be 10 thousandths to 21 thousandths. So we'll get our feeler gauge and we will measure the gap on that. So I say we dropped the piston in a little bit and centered it up. I used like a line on one of the ring grooves to kind of make sure I was even and I wasn't kind of putting the piston in crooked too. Otherwise, I mean, you could push it down a little farther so it's straighter if you want. But so I'm using feeler gauges, and you're just going to come here and see what fits in that groove. So this fits snug right there. And I guess it was between 18 and 19. So 19 just went in there. It's pretty snug. So let's say here with the measurements. Oil control was 10 to 21 thousandths. So that works out pretty well. So we're in there. I'm going to try to set these at the higher end of the specification, because I plan on towing with it, obviously, and you kind of want a bigger gap if you're towing, because you don't want the once the heat starts getting in there, it can close up, and once that ring closes up, they can crack and break things, and you lose compression. And I think these engines had an issue with cracking rings. I believe I remember that, and I think it was the earlier ones because of the ring gaps were too narrow. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing, and as I check each one, I'm going to just load them onto the piston and write whichever cylinder the piston's going to be in, and then we'll finish them all up and get the rings all gapped and installed. So this is like a grinding tool for gapping. You basically just put your ring on here into the tool, and it kind of aligns it, and then just give a little bit of a crank, and you just kind of grind the side of the ring down a little bit so it fits, or so you get the gap you want. Here it goes pretty fast. I mean, being you're dealing with thousands, it probably won't take long to take some meat off, so just be very gentle when you do it. So I guess there's a little bit of a discrepancy on the ring gaps between quick serve and the Ram factory manual. I gave you the specs out of the Ram factory manual, But Quickserve states much looser specs. There's our for the top ring 11 thousandths to 23 thousandths, while the RAM manual states 10 to 14. Intermediate ring on Quickserve is 35 thousandths to 54 thousandths, while the intermediate is 33 to 45 for the RAM factory service manual. The oil control from Quickserve is 11 thousandths to 30 thousandths, while the oil control from the RAM factory service manual states 10 thousandths to 22 thousandths. So the difference here is the RAM manual is put out by Chrysler and Dodge. They have to meet other types of criteria because this engine is in American vehicles. Cummins sells just engines. So Cummins specs are usually a little bit different from Ram specs because they don't technically, I think, have to meet the criteria because they're just selling the engine. So Cummins usually gives you specs that promote better durability and better life from the engine and the parts. So it's up to you on exactly how you want to go and do it. But I don't know if you can see that. I'll put the photo up if you can't. But these are what the specs were that I'm looking at now. So it's hard to say exactly what you should do. So I think I'm going to go to the higher end or something in the middle of the Quickserve. So I might go in the middle of the Quickserve, or maybe the higher end of the RAM manual. I'm not exactly sure. I think I might go like, no, somewhere in there. Maybe I'll go like 14 or 15, the top ring. I don't know. So I'll have to figure it out, whatever I'm comfortable with. I'll do a little bit more research, but that's something to keep in mind when you're doing yours, exactly which way you want to go with it. Because, like I say, if you're towing and stuff and you get a lot of heat in there and you're working the engine hard, the hotter it gets, the more the rings will swell. So you're going to want to have enough end gap for them not to hit each other and break. So yeah. So I'm going to put these rings on. We got some, there's a lower one. So when you put these together, you want to have when you want the gaps in this ring at least an inch off, and then you want all the end gaps to be 120 degrees apart. So you're gonna want one here, and then like one right in the middle, and then one over here. So they're not lined up, because if they're lined up, you're gonna lose compression. So this ring they said could be spiraled on, but I'm just kind of spreading it with my thumbs. It's going to be hard to get it around the thing. Oops. Yeah. So there's that. It should collapse. Alright. So it's a little tricky getting this one to close, so I use a ring compressor, but obviously it's got to squeeze closed, and with the gap over here, it's two things sliding. But So, that seems really big. I wonder if I gotta trim that. Didn't say anything about trimming this, so I don't know. I have to look into it. I think so. I think it's just going to be a tight ring. So you want to make sure that the spring section goes inside the outer section, obviously, and then and that's on. So I'll go gap the other two, and we'll stick those on too. So it would appear that my piston rings are making up the choice for me. So this one was gapped to 47 thousandths end gap. So it seems like, I mean, they're all kind of right in the middle of the quick serve specs. So I'm gonna go with that, I guess, because that's what I got. Yeah, so all this is new. I measured the bore. The bore's what it's supposed to be. And yeah, so that was easy. Made up my mind for me. So these ones you can't twist because they're like hardened, so you have to spread the ends to put them on. You can't walk them on like the other ones. You can't go here and then go around because it can break it. You can only do that with the oil control one, is what the guide said. So let's see if we can spread these enough. And it's gonna, hold on. This ought to spread them. Go on, spread them rings. Oops. Come on. Yeah. So when I do this next time, I'm going to put this one on first, because I believe, well, we got a swelled up portion right here, so it might be, that might be the same size as that. I might have to go over that anyway. I don't know, maybe I'll put this one on first next time, and then I'll do the oil control ring, and I'll come up from the bottom on. It might be easier to get this middle one on, doing it that way. So like I say, you're gonna want to spread your gaps out. So you're gonna want one gap like here. You don't want it really on the pin line, so one like at the end of the pin there, and then one over here, and then one like in the middle. That's how you can set your gaps. So obviously the top ring's gonna just kind of go on the same way. So make sure the rings say top on them, or they have a dot. Look for them, because I guess they should be directional. This one does have a dot, and it does say top. It actually says top, and you won't be able to see it, but it says top, and it has two dots. So I imagine it's top, and then two dots means it's the intermediate ring, and the other one probably has one dot or just top on it. So is that. Alright, so I cleaned up the timing cover, or the gear gear housing cover, whatever you want to call it. So these had thread lock on them. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Torx head or Torx drive bolts. They all get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. I think these two are torqued to 18 foot-pounds as well, and I put blue thread lock on them. I put some anaerobic sealer on this section of the gasket between here, because this is threaded and this is threaded, so the bolt doesn't actually go through the gasket into the engine. It just kind of goes up against it. So there's a bolt here that goes through, and then there's a bolt here that goes through, and then this one here clamps. So I put some anaerobic sealant right in there. I don't know if it has to be anaerobic or it's just kind of what I had. So I basically glued the gasket to the timing cover or gear housing, whatever you want to call it. This gasket actually had a little bit on there, so I guess I got double. But it's a PAI set. I wanted to get the OEM set, but they once everything shut down, there was a shortage and I couldn't get it. So I was supposed to get a OEM upper gasket set and then the PAI lower, which I guess wasn't a big deal. And then when they actually finally sent them, I got 2 PAI kits. They appear to be actually a little bit more expensive than the Cummins sets. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I guess it's what I got. So it is what it is. So I have to trim this off flush with the block and the cover on both sides, and then I can put the cam in. I wanted to put the cam in before I put the pistons and the connecting rods in, because it's I mean, it might not make a difference, but it seems easier because I can kind of get my hand in between the bearings, or yeah, I guess the block bearings, whatever they are, to kind of help guide the cam in a little bit, so it's not kind of clunking around, smacking on things. And once you put the connecting rods and everything in, I think it gets a little bit tighter in a working area. So next thing I got is putting the cam in. All right, so I'm gonna lube up all the tappets of the tappet lifters, and I'm going to put them in the holes, and then I'm going to slide the cam in. Alright, so we got a cam in. I'm just kind of reaching in there and holding up this end on the side of getting too short on this side. And you're going to line up your timing marks, 2 zeros, and then take your retaining nut here and or retaining collar, washer, whatever it is. Put your 2 bolts in and torque them to 18 foot-pounds. Alright, so I have all these parts cleaned. You're ready to go. So I gotta lubricate the pins. I got the snap rings in half of them. So when you put these together, you have front on the piston. Obviously that faces front. And then with the machine caps, it says you have the numbers. The numbers go towards the cam or intake side is how that's labeled. I mean, basically you just see you got kind of the long side, so the long side goes towards the cam. So basically in the fracture cap ones, they say the long side goes towards the cam as well, so that's how they go in there. So make sure you get your orientation right. So I believe the weight will hit the cam if you don't, so keep that in mind. I made the mistake of getting medium gloves. I thought they might fit, and yeah, they don't. I can't even get them on my fingers. So, anyway, let's align our rings, ring gaps. 120 degrees apart. Alright, so that's about right. So I'm going to dip this in there, submerge the rings. Ain't gotta go too much. And now I'm going to take this with my wrinkly gloves and I'm going to wipe off the excess and I'm going to coat the inside of the cylinder bore. Because I don't need all that on there. So you want to make sure that your ring gap doesn't fall like right here on the side. Make sure you're going in the correct direction. Put my bearing in there. Tap this in there. It actually went relatively smooth. Oh, great. It didn't. So, now that that's in there, I'll come over to this end. So, I'm going to take my tapping handle and I'm going to guide this up into place. Alright, there's that. So, what I'm going to do, let's get out my plastic gauge. And we are going to plastic gauge this. I already did the first one. First one came out pretty good. The first one was 3/1000 gap. So, I mean, when I measured them, I'm pretty sure they were all the same. So I'm not too concerned about something being out. So the hot pot's going to be balancing this where it needs to be. Of course, they're always like right on the hole. So. So torque on this was 23, 53, 73. Doesn't, I mean, the first couple don't have to be exact, it's just probably want to be right on the last one. So I just snug them up at first until I start getting a reading. 23. See, thousands. We got 3 on this one too. Not 4. Definitely not 2. Yeah, we get 3. Probably gonna be hard to see with the light, but there's a little faint line where it was, but it's 3. Alright, so I'm going to tap this down a little bit. Or push it down. Ow. I'm going to cut my finger open on the block there. That sucks. Some sharp pieces. So, we got that down. And I'm going to put some lubricant on this now. Alright, so let's take our hammer and tap that back up. Make sure our cap's going the right way. There's a set of numbers on the side of these rods because they're the 24 valve rods. You got to keep the numbers together and on the same side. So 23. $53. Actually, you know what? I gotta lubricate those threads at all, so I'm gonna take them back out. I'm gonna lubricate the threads a little bit. That does make a difference. There's another method to torquing these, and it's a torque to yield method. It's I think it's 22, 44, and 60 degrees. I did that with one of them, and I looked at the because this torque wrench, after you do this, the torque angle, it gives you a measurement on what it was, and it came out to like 90 foot-pounds. So it's a little high, I guess. I don't know. So I'm just going to do the standard one. I don't know. I might do the torque to yield one later. I'm going to I'll research it tonight. I'll let you know if I do it. I think I'm just going to do the standard one. Alright, so that's how you do that. Let's make sure we still turn over, and we do. I guess it would be easier to do this instead of spinning the whole crank around every single time. I can just set this up to do the next couple. Put that there, and then I'll do number 3 and 4, and then keep going. I'll probably do this one and then that one. Anyway, so that's how you do that. Alright, so I got this all back together. Got all the connecting rods in. Got all the lifters and cam in. Obviously all the pistons and everything. So let's see. You're all in there. So I gotta put the oil pump in and kind of leave the injection pump gear in there, and then seal up this front cover, and then I gotta do the water pump, obviously. I gotta do the oil cooler and clean up all the gasket material and stuff. I've been using like a Scotch Brite pad to clean it off. Look, I actually accidentally tweaked one of these little oil squirters. I must have the rod must have been to the side when I pushed it through, and it kind of bent it out a little bit. I had to massage it back into place, or just kind of push it back in where it was. But everything seems to be all right now. I'll crank it around, make sure nothing hits, and then yeah, I kind of put a little bit of oil on those, or assembly lube on those flat tappets. I might kind of get a little more on there and see how that goes. So yeah, anyway, I'll probably end this video here, and then the next one we'll keep going. I'll put obviously the cover on. The kit I got didn't come with a front or rear main seal, which I thought was kind of weird, But I got a new front one. This one's got like a groove in there. It's not super deep, but it's got the wear ring going on it. And I'll probably get another one with a wear ring for the rear. This one has no groove, and it makes me wonder if they overground it. I'm hoping I don't have a problem with anything, but anyway, so that's where I'm in. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So anyway, thanks for watching.